So next we have Karthickeyan Narasimhan talking, and he is going to tell us about creating mixed reality experiences from zero to hero. Please give him a hand.
Hello everyone. A little introduction about me. I'm Karthickeyan. I'm from India. I work with a company called Freshworks as a senior software engineer. And in my spare time, I also volunteer to these programs under the Mozilla Foundation, such as the Tech Speakers, Reps, and Campus Advisory Committee board member. If you have any questions regarding any of this program, feel free to talk to me after my talk. So mixed reality is a new buzzword in recent times. Before we understand what mixed reality is, let's try to discuss on various components or concepts that put together build up this thing called mixed reality. Starting off with the immensely popular virtual reality. I know most of you here at some point have gotten a chance to put on a headset on your head and experience a virtual world. To those who have not experienced this, basically the concept is you have a VR headset that differs in size and quality, hence the price, and you put on your headset, put on it on your head, and you have a big display in front of your face. And then you experience a virtual world. So what you see in the virtual world is all the digitized objects. So coming outwards of this virtual world is what I call as augmented virtuality. So in augmented virtuality, you basically place a digital object into a real world space. Just like in this example, you have a real man inside a virtual space, right? So this is totally a new technology that is in early stages of development. So let's come outwards, slowly outwards from the virtual world. So that is what we call as the augmented reality. So how many Pokemon Go fans here? Raise your hands. Alright, so we have a few people. Alright, so basically in Pokemon Go, you overlay a digital content in a real world in front of your face, isn't it? And if you are trying to become a dog or a cat in an Instagram or Snapchat filter, that's the best example for augmented reality. Alright, so let's put all of these immersive tech, which we call for virtual augmented reality, if you put this in a linear spectrum, so this is what we get. So we have a real environment and a virtual environment, and in between we have augmented reality, which is more of a real and less of a digital content, and then we have augmented virtuality, which is more of virtual and less of real, and then have virtual environment, which is totally virtual. So mixed reality is basically the best of both the worlds, the real and a virtual world. So to put it in a nutshell, it's basically like you put a digital object in front of your face in a real world, and not just that, you also interact with the digital objects just like how you do with the real objects. Alright, you can build mixed reality in so many ways. But for this session, we'll be looking at building mixed reality on the web. But you might ask me, why web? Before I answer this question, let's look into a few of the problems that we face in the current VR AR ecosystem. Gatekeepers. So basically, if you want to develop an application on a smartphone, you need to adhere to the rules stipulated by App Store or Play Store, and then you need to submit for review, and once it gets approved, it gets published. So despite having a long processing time, you also need to follow all these rules, which you may or may not like. And in order to get the immersive tech experience, you also need to download and install hundreds of megabytes of data in your smartphone. That's a lot, isn't it? And all these applications are closed source. They're all proprietary. You do not know what's happening behind the scene. The solution to all these problems, enter WebXR. So WebXR stands for, before that, let's talk about what WebXR is. It's an open specification that lets you build immersive technology on the web. So previously we had something called WebVR API that lets you build virtual reality applications on the web. And then came AR, the specification for AR, and people realized that there needs to be a standard in order to build all of these immersive technologies, isn't it? Thus, WebXR. Some people like to say the X in the WebXR stands for extended reality. Some people call it as, the upper half of X looks like virtual reality, V for virtual, and then the lower half looks like A, that's for augmented reality. But X is just an algebraic term, like it can have any value. It can be virtual, augment, or mixed reality. Just put whatever it is, whatever that comes up in the future as well. Right. So basically we have WebXR that lets you build immersive technology on the web, and WebGL, the graphics library that lets you build 3D objects on the web. Combining these two, you can build really cool immersive technology on the web. But just don't trust me. You really can't. Because WebXR is so complex that you need to have math knowledge. You need to know all the linear algebra that you learned from your high school. So in order to solve this problem, there came 3JS, a JavaScript library that lets you build VR/AR applications on the web. But then, even this was intimidating. There were very less developers who actually started building VR/AR applications on the web. And then, Mozilla came up with the solution, A-Frame and AR.js. These are web framework that lets you build VR and AR applications on the web with just using HTML. Can you all believe that? Just HTML. That's the first and foremost thing that we all learn as a web developer, isn't it? HTML, I learned HTML when I was in school, right? So, for the sake of time constraint, let's focus only on VR side of the things. Let's build a small VR application using A-Frame. So here's a simple code that lets you build this 3D virtual scene. We have a HTML tag, and we then have a script tag that injects A-Frame JS library in your HTML page, and then we have a body tag, and then we have ascene. Ascene is basically a body tag in a 2D web page. So you can insert any elements into it that you want to see in a virtual environment. And then you have a box. You build a box here, then you have a sphere, you build a sphere, you have a cylinder, you build a cylinder and a plane, you have a plane here, and then a sky. Sky can be, you should just have a plain color, or maybe you can put a 360 image of a night sky with stars around it, so you can have a realistic feel. So basically all these, the box, sphere, cylinder that you see, are all custom HTML tags. These are called as primitives. They are commonly used 3D objects in a virtual reality scene. So if you look at how A-Frame works in terms of entity and component-based system, entity, any object in a 3D virtual world, is called entity. And if you want to make it behave like something, or if you want to look like something, you need to add components to it. So here, let's say I want to create a ball. So I create an entity and add a geometry of sphere and material of color, and then I get a ball. If you want to add more components to it, like a light component and a sound component to it, you can do that. And not just that, you can even add your own custom components to an entity. If you think that that's going to be commonly used by a lot of people, you can simply submit it to A-Frame registry, which is a commonly curated collections of all the A-Frame components available for public use. Alright, so let's look at some cool XR tools that are available right now. So here we go. WebXR emulator. So this was launched by Mozilla recently. So it's a browser extension that lets you debug your WebXR applications on the web right through your browser. Previously, you need to have all these physical XR device, and you need to wear it and put it off for every time you need to debug. Now it's simple. And then you have this AWS service called Sumerian that lets you build AR or VR applications on the web without having any programming knowledge at all. And this is one of my favorite projects. You definitely should try this out, which is called as Mozilla Hubs. It is a social VR platform that lets you and your friends join together in a virtual space, and you can chat with each other. You can do a voice chat, and in fact you can even watch movies together with your friends in a virtual space. Isn't that cool? And it has something called Mozilla Spoke. So this tool lets you create a virtual space, and you can use that space in Mozilla Hubs. Let's say you want to create a virtual space that looks similar to your office. You can do that using Mozilla Spoke and export it to Mozilla Hubs, and probably you can have your daily stand-up meetings in a virtual space with your colleagues. And last, we have a Firefox Reality Browser launched by Mozilla. And this is specifically designed for VR headsets. So if you have a VR headset, please do try this. It's really cool. Alright, so that's all from my side. Thank you so much for listening to my talk.